Welcome back to Brew Day Part 2. This will be my first step, is to preheat the MLT. I've got my hot water coming out from the hot water heater, going into my malt lautering tun that I built, and I'm going to just fill it up with hot water so it'll be nice and hot for the brew day. Okay, now that I've measured out about 42 pounds of water in my pot, I should have about, I forget how many gallons it was supposed to be, but you can see straight out of the hot water heater it's about 137 degrees, but I need to heat that up to about 175, so when I mix it with the grains it should even out to about 154 or 150. Okay, I've got the water heating up and I'm going to add approximately 1 tablespoon of the pH 5.2. I'm going to stir that up, get it all stirred up. Okay, I'm draining the preheating water out of my MLT. As soon as that drains out, I'm going to take the water from the kettle, which is at now at 175 degrees, I just measured it, and put half of it in here, and then I'll put the grains in, and then I'll put the rest of the water in, stir it around, and we'll start mashing, which is what this part of the process is called. Okay, I've added the grains, stirred them around a bunch. All the grains and the water all in here together. You got to make sure you don't have any clumps. Sometimes clumps will form, and just give it a good stir for 2 or 3 minutes. That's what I've done. And if I take my thermometer and measure it, we should be right around 154 degrees. Yeah, that's not too bad. That's pretty close. Okay, I've got it's called the mashing process. I got to leave this sit for an hour. I went ahead and put blankets over this. It helps keep the heat in so that you don't want it to go below 150. That's why you shoot for about 154. Below 150 the mashing process doesn't really work. There's a whole bunch of science involved with all that junk, but I just follow the recipe. But anyway, the blankets will help make sure that it stays warm for an hour, and in an hour we'll come and start draining it. Okay, it's been an hour. I'm going to open this up and let's see how my temperature did after an hour. Like I'm right around 150. So that's perfect. Now I need to drain it out. Okay, this part of the process is called vorlaughing. I'm not exactly sure why they call it that, but it's supposed to take just a little bit of the drippings, the runnings out here, the first few runnings, and drain them into a cup or something. I think what this is designed to do is it's supposed to get if there's any little grain husk that made it into your manifold or something like that, it's going to come out in the cup instead of getting into your beer. This beer is so dark, I don't think it really matters that much. But you just take a little bit out, put it on top of the grain bed, do that a couple of times, and then we'll be ready to drain. Okay, I'm going to be draining the tun out. The trick here is to not get impatient. You want this to come out slowly. That's how you get your good efficiency. I'm going to drain it into my boil kettle, the big 10-gallon one, and it'll take a little while, and as soon as it's empty I will go to the next step. Okay, I've collected my runnings. No more will come out, so it's all full, and I put a hydrometer in here to try to measure the specific gravity, and it looks like it's running right around 1.080. Okay, I've measured out in my spreadsheet here. I've got 1.08 for the specific gravity of the wort. I measured the pot, and it's a aluminum pot with the lid and the wort inside, and do some math in there. It comes up with 2.7 gallons collected so far. Remember, I wanted 6.9 gallons. So what you need to do is add more water. Basically, you're just collecting the rest of the wort that you need. I want to do that 2 more times. So in order to get there, I've got to do a mash, 2 more mashes with 2.1 gallons each, which means about 22.4 pounds of water in the pot. So I'm going to heat that up to 175 and go on from there. Okay, I'm only going to use about half as much because it's not quite a full kettle like it was last time. So I'm putting the pH 5.2 in there again. Let's stir that around and heat that up to 175. Okay, I've added my water, 175 degrees. I'm going to stir this up real good again. I'm going to let it sit this time for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to drain it out. Okay, I've mixed up some of this iodophor. Takes 2/3 teaspoon per gallon. You notice it has kind of an off color to it. It's not kind of a very light brown. You have to make it up every time that you use it. I put some of it in a spray bottle, which really is very helpful. So right now I'm sanitizing my carboy and I'm letting it drain. You leave the stuff in there and swish it around for 2 minutes and then let it drain out, and by the time I'm ready to put it in there it ought to be all drained and dry. But the important thing to remember is that if you come back here in a couple of days and look at this, it's going to be clear water, and you have to make up this stuff every time that you use it. And putting it in a spray bottle is extremely convenient. A decent spray bottle like this runs about $2, but that's really good for cleaning parts and just letting them air dry. Okay, I kind of skipped ahead. I did 2 of the 2-gallon mashes. I want you to have to sit there and watch me do the same thing twice. And it looks like I've got a full kettle full of wort. I'm now going to take a specific gravity reading. See where we stand. Looks like the wort that I collected is approximately, I'm going to say 1.050, something like that. That's about right. Okay, so I plugged the numbers into my handy dandy little spreadsheet here. I weighed the pot with the lid and the wort in it, 69.2 gallons, a specific gravity 1.05 or thereabouts. Looks like I collected right around 7.1 gallons. I was shooting for 6.9, pretty close. So in the next section I will be doing the boil, which from here on out is pretty much the same as extract brewing. So I'll see you on the other side.